Greetings and welcome to Pickled Watermelon Rinds, a guilty pleasure podcast featuring Auntie Joan and Auntie, providing our zesty and marginally mature take on current events, pop culture, and trends. Now we invite you to sit back, relax, and enjoy. Hello, Auntie Joni.
Oh my gosh. Hello, Auntie. What up?
You know.
Oh, yeah, that's right. We're having a happy hour.
Happy hour cocktail time. Because why, Auntie Joan?
Because it's our 40th.
40th episode.
Yes.
Whoop, whoop, whoop.
And they said we wouldn't last. What are you drinking, Auntie?
I'm drinking our usual Dingle Gin with elderflower tonic.
Oh, yes.
And I made it into like a snow globe glass, but that went away really fast. I didn't expect it to. We'll do that when we're together another time, and I'll show you how it's all pretty like that.
I've had a craving for gin-soaked olives, so I made a martini. And also, it's kind of reminiscent of my childhood, so
Nice.
kind of good times, good times.
Good times. Good times. So I wanted to give a shout out to the people at No Animal Left Behind Rescue. They are a nonprofit organization up here in the Peak to Peak region. I went to the Very Nice Brewery, which started something they like to call Nice Talks. And they had the owner from No Animal Left Behind come and give everybody just kind of an overview on what you should do, what you can do if you lose a pet. They rescue all kinds of pets in the Peak to Peak region, all through Boulder County, I believe, actually.
Oh, really?
Mm-hmm. And Brittany Dixon is the owner, and she's been doing rescue more independently for a long time. And just this past spring, they filed for a nonprofit, and they got that. And I went to their launch party at a different place back in the spring, but then the Very Nice Brewery had them do their first Nice Talk. And it was very informative, just little tips and tricks about, making sure that you live things that smell like you out and along there where they were lost, and trying to get them back, especially dogs. Dogs sense, well, cats too. Our noses are so sensitive that they're able to smell at great distances and things like that. So that's one of the biggest things you can do. And that dogs go into, I think they called it flight mode or whatever. Depending on the dog, it hits different dogs differently. But when they're out in the wild and trying to figure out where they need to go, and they start getting confused, they go into survival mode. Survival mode. So they are not approachable. They run away when people, if their own owners, they would run away from, because they're just in scared mode and trying to survive. So they give you tips and tricks about that too, where you should just sit and be patient and let the dog come to you, kind of thing, and have treats readily available, like kind of make a trail to you of treats or something. So, and just sit and be still and let them you shouldn't try to approach them or call to them or anything like that. Just let them come to you when they're in that mode. Things like that. It was very informative. I like the girls that are running this organization, or women, I should say, that are running this organization, and I want to support them. So shout out.
I always admire people who go that and do that. They just, the commitment they make to the animals, it's incredible.
Oh yeah. It's amazing. I mean, they hike into crazy areas trying to find animals.
Wow.
They're very special women. So I like to support them whenever I see an activity or event with them.
Have they started incorporating drones or anything to help with the searches?
So drones, somebody asked that question during this event, and they aren't using drones primarily because our woods are so dense that the drones are mostly inefficient. If they were in a more open mountainous area where a pet was lost, they might become, more handy, but most of their rescues are in pretty dense woods. So
Wow.
unfortunately, the drones don't really lend to help them as much as you would think that they would. But
Yeah. Yeah.
yeah, which I was surprised because I thought, I didn't think to ask that question, but somebody did at the event, and that's what their response was. Like, yeah, I guess it makes sense. So,
Hmm.
yep, good bunch. Like them a lot. They've helped
Yeah.
a lot of
Yeah.
animals up here. Sadly, so many go missing. So,
I
there's
know
that.
that's.
Not to mention, apparently, we're quite the dumping ground
Oh
as well,
no.
unfortunately. So that's what they, said during the event. I had heard that, people drop their pets here, but I didn't realize it was quite the epidemic that it is. And that's very sad and disappointing
It
that
is.
people
It
would do
is.
that. These poor dogs have been domesticated. They're not meant to be in the wild. That's just so mean, especially as there's so many shelters. And, you don't want to take them certainly to places, the kill shelters, but there's so many nonprofits now, especially out here in Colorado. I just find that so bizarre that somebody
Yeah.
would feel that it's better or easier just to dump an animal in the middle of the woods somewhere. That's just terrible. Terrible.
I think it is too, but I wonder if these people think that maybe they've got a chance of survival, or I don't know. It doesn't make sense to me.
I don't get it. So that's what they're here for. And they're
You
really
know,
nice.
one other thing that really bothers me
Mm-hmm.
is people who their pets, are at the end of their life
Mm-hmm.
and it's time
Mm-hmm.
and they need to take them to the vet
Mm-hmm.
and they drop them off and they don't stay with them through the end. That breaks my heart.
Agreed. It's a very hard thing to sit there and go through, but you don't want your pet's last thoughts to
Yeah.
be, I got abandoned, or
Yeah.
they're
Yeah.
just scared. They don't know what's going on. Their
Right.
person's not with them.
Yeah. Yeah.
So you got to put on your big girl and big boy pants and stay
Yep.
with them to the end. That's what you signed up for.
Oh, that's what I signed up for.
Me
Over
too.
and over and over again. Yeah.
Likewise. Yep.
Well, thank them for doing that.
I will. They're very good people. I like them
Yes,
a
they
lot.
are. Yes, they
Yes.
are.
So, in honor of our 40th episode, we're going to get to the fun stuff now. In honor of our 40th episode, we're going to talk about the highlights of ourselves when we were 40. Auntie Joan.
Me?
Yeah, tell us. What were your highlights? Tell us the
Uh
year span first.
1988? Yeah, to 1998 it would have been.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what were your
That
highlights?
the 40s, my 40s were a big self introspective time.
Oh.
I started therapy,
Mm-hmm.
psychotherapy,
Mm-hmm.
which was wonderful. The therapist I had was just great for me. She's really steered me on to kind of spiritual things and of course growth and stuff like that. But
Cool.
and then accepting life as it happens and how to look at things differently, and then I started watching through that. I started tuning into PBS,
Mm-hmm.
and at the time was Joseph Campbell's The Power of Myth, which was a series of interviews and discussions with Joseph Campbell and Bill Moyers.
Mm-hmm.
And that was so eye opening for me because he talked about what we would call myths and how they repeat in different areas of the planet,
Hmm.
like the virgin birth. That it wasn't just the one that we've heard about, there were several
Mm-hmm.
virgin births. And he just opened my eyes to a what, and this was another thing, looking at things differently. And then there was John Bradshaw on PBS, who also did a whole thing on the family. And that was talking about dysfunctional families and the roles that everybody has in the family,
Mm-hmm.
and how when one person steps outside their defined role, the family kind of gets off balance. So there's this push to put that person back into their assigned role, like the super student or the troubled kid, or
Mm-hmm.
they want you to basically fulfill that role so everything can continue on its normal way of doing things. And then a Robert Bly, He was another one. He did a thing with Bill Moyers. And his whole thing, he's kind of started the male movement. He was a poet and he was really into men looking inside themselves and
Hmm.
what it takes to get rid of all this bluster and stuff. You have to go deep inside. You have to almost hit rock bottom before you can come back up again and start looking at things differently.
Mm-hmm.
And oh, the burning times. That was another one. PBS was, I guess, my go-to place back in my 40s. And that was about the witch hunts and all that, and how women who were healers and into herbs and stuff like that were considered witches and had to be done away with because they were too powerful.
Mm-hmm.
Those were really mind expanding things that I encountered. And then, of course, in my 40s, I hooked up with Larry finally, and
Whoop,
we
whoop,
got married. Yeah, yeah.
whoop, whoop. One of
So
my
that was
favorite
my
men
40s.
ever.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Really?
Mm-hmm.
Huh.
He's very sweet. He was always sweet to me
Yeah, well.
and funny.
Well, that's nice to know.
Yes.
I didn't know that.
Yes. Indeed.
So there, oh, and then I did a temporary assignment downtown Chicago. I was going to, my mother had died in 84, and my dad, oh, this would have been right before 88. Oh, this was 88. I wanted to be closer to my family. So I did like 4 months or something downtown Chicago. I was training to be a support person for the marketing people in the downtown Chicago downtown office, marketing office,
Mm-hmm.
pushing publishing stuff. And I couldn't handle it. It wasn't me. So
Mm-hmm.
I was fortunate to get my old job back, I have to say. And thanks to that, I'm collecting retirement now. So otherwise I'd be SOL. I guess there were a lot of stuff going on in my 40s, I have to say.
Nice.
How about you, Auntie?
Yeah, I started thinking about it. I was just like, yeah, well, I probably changed jobs 3 times. That's likely, but that's not unusual. I got my tumor baby removed.
Oh, that's
That
right.
was in my 40s. I got beast when I was in my 40s. I lost
Yeah.
my first 4 animals when I was in my 40s,
Oh my
unfortunately.
gosh. Oh my gosh.
Yes. Gosh. Yeah. I thought maybe I bought my house in Netherlands when I was in my 40s, but I was younger than that. Yeah.
But you had your seafood boil though when you're 40s, didn't
I
you?
did have my seafood boil when I was in my 40s. That's very true. Both of them. Yeah, I was in my 40s. Yeah, I didn't really have anything to
You didn't that wasn't a point of spiritual enlightenment or searching or
It might have been more maybe my mid 40s is when I started really getting more into meditation
mm,
and trying to find happiness
uh
and do different practices trying to make myself happy. And then I found what it really was I wanted, and that was retirement. That
really?
came in my 50s. That was the path to my happiness.
Well, you found it,
I did find it. Yes.
at least so far. Let's hope it lasts, huh?
Indeed. But yeah, you're right. It probably started with the whole just trying to pay more attention to calming, a lot of
Mm,
calming
mm.
exercises. I was quite the angry elf for a long time. So, well, I mean, I had very high standards for myself, and then I projected those high standards onto others,
Uh-huh.
and it was very frustrating for me. And then I finally got to the point where I was like, you know what? Gives a shit.
You know, I think through the John Bradshaw dysfunctional family stuff and the therapy,
Mm-hmm.
I started looking at being an adult child of alcoholics.
Mm-hmm.
I signed up for, and I did go to some 12-step programs for adult children of alcoholic.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, that was a good experience too. I mean, one of the things that one of their quotes that, they've got all these little quotes that they spew out all the time, but one of them was let go and let God, or let go and let goddess, or let go and let,
B.
or let it go.
Hmm.
Yeah, that thought of giving up control, and I guess realizing I'm not all that in a bag of chips. Just learned to see things. I At that point I started looking at things differently, and I'm trying to think of when my friends died. I think I was in my 50s then, but I've had some close friends that had passed away young.
Hmm.
So,
Bad.
anyway.
Hmm. Oh, my years were no, 2010. Yep, 2010 to 2020 were my 40s.
Wow. You're just a baby.
No.
It's hard for me to see things sometimes from your perspective because you're so new.
So new.
You are. I mean, I'm talking about my 40s, and it's 1988 to 1998.
Yeah.
And, that was, well, you were
I
just a youngin'.
graduated high school in 88.
Okay. Okay. So, yeah, you are a youngin'. Enjoy it. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss what we are watching. And again, in celebration of our 40th episode, whoop, 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 we are going to discuss movies that we really loved from the 1940s.
1940s.
Woohoo! We got to do a little flapper
Way
dance.
before you were
We
born.
got to do a little flapper dance, right? Isn't that? I don't know.
No, not the flappers. That was the 20s.
Was it?
Yes.
I don't know. I'm so bad with history.
The 40s were more the swing,
Roaring 40s.
where they take the girls and put them underneath them and swing them up, and yeah.
Yeah. Like the Charleston.
No, that was the 20s.
But they did the Charleston in the movie that I'm going to talk about.
Okay, well, let's. Oh, yeah. Well, they were just reminiscing.
You don't know what I'm going to say.
Oh, I do know. I do know. And I thought about it. But I figured you'd do it anyway. So go ahead. Go ahead.
This is not only one of my favorite 1940s movies, it is my all-time favorite movie, full stop.
Number one?
Number one on
Wow.
the charts for me.
It's understandable.
And It's a Wonderful Life.
Yeah, it is.
I absolutely love this movie. The very first time I saw it, I was a mess. And
Oh, yeah.
and I'm still a mess every year when I watch it. And I watch it every single year without fail. It's usually a little bit as close to Christmas as I can get. Sometimes I give in and watch it earlier.
You only watch it once?
Typically, I save it for like the pinnacle, like either Christmas Eve or Christmas Day night or something like that. But I've also been known to watch it more than that. So well, it just depends on the year and what I got going on. But yes, it is my all-time favorite movie. I love everything about it. It's got laughter. It's got romance. It's got drama. It's got it all. And I think it stands the test of time. I know certainly there's things in it that, clearly have evolved since 1946. 1946. That one came out in 1946. But I love me some Jimmy Stewart. I just do. I miss him dearly. Donna Reed, well casted. The whole movie was just so well casted. And Clarence, oh man, that just everything about it. I can't even. It's so good. I cry every year, and it's always at the brothers' toast at the very end, and that shatters me. Yeah. So I save my tears until the end, at least. So there's that.
You mean when the brother comes in and
yes,
yeah,
and he raises a glass
to
his big brother George, And yes, it's very moving for me. And I love this movie.
And then a bell rings every time an angel gets
That,
its wings.
yeah, that little girl's a little obnoxious, but Zuzu's petals, Zuzu's petals. I just love it. It's got family in it. It just has everything. And I love it. I never, ever, ever want to see it in color. I can't believe they tried to colorize this because I have my own ideas of what they're wearing, what color their hair is and all that. And I don't want to be wrong. So I just want to just keep it the way I see it in my head and the black and white version. Love it. That's my all-time favorite movie ever.
The one thing about it, I mean, it's the thought that one person can have that much impact in other people's lives.
That's right.
And that's one thing that gets to me. And every time I've seen it, I always thought, well, I wouldn't, I've not done any of those stuff that he's done.
But that's not what it is. You've touched different people's lives. Every person has.
Yes.
You know what I mean?
And I have to say, there's, people that come around and they make a difference. But yeah, it would be nice if we could figure out, just what kind of a difference we made. It could be depressing too, if we didn't make that much difference in people's lives. But yeah, anyway. But that's a lovely thought.
It is.
That we can impact so many lives and for the better.
Right. That's right. I mean, you never know. Just opening a door for somebody.
Yeah.
Who knows what that did for them that day?
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah.
You smiled at somebody on the road. Every time, I walk down the street with Killian with his goggles on and somebody smiles at us. I'm like, I hope maybe they were in a bad state and they saw Beast and now they're, that was, kind of brightened them for that moment. If not, if it didn't linger, at least something. So that happens a lot day in and day out. So I do love the messaging in this movie quite a bit. Somebody tried to soil it at one point for me by saying that he manhandled Donna Reed and, when they were.
Oh.
And I'm like, no, that was pure passion. Like the two of them were so in love when they first the scene I'm talking about when he's on the phone with that other friend, the hee-haw guy. And she's, they'd already fought a little bit verbally. And then he came back for the phone call and they're like staying so close to each other. And he starts shaking. He's like, I don't want a family and I don't want to. And it's like, that's because she just shattered his world. Like, he wasn't expecting to fall in love. He had all these plans. He was a plan guy and his plans all went to shit because he fell in love in that very moment. And somebody's like, oh, he's manhandling her. People, he shouldn't have done that. I'm like, OMG, people. There's a difference between passion and abuse. Stop it.
And I consider the time that it was made and
exactly.
Yeah.
I'm like, if somebody's got that much passion for, again, realizing that everything they thought their life was planned and they knew exactly what he said. I know exactly what I'm going to do tomorrow, the next day, and the day after that, and all that. And it all went to shit because he fell in love and he ended up staying in the town and having kids and getting married and being in love with Donna Reed. And it was just like, well, yeah. You want the moon, Mary? I'll take it. Then what? Well, you see, you swallow it. Well, I'll throw a lasso around it and I'll pull it down for you. And then what? And then you swallow it, see? I love when he says that. You swallow it, see? That's how they talked. It's so good.
Kind of like A Christmas Carol kind of ends on a, revelation and
Yes, exactly. Oh, that's another movie that's really good, but that's not 1940. So we'll talk about that another. Ooh, maybe we'll save it for the Christmas.
I'm sure there's one that was made in the 40s.
I'm already starting to rock. I'm excited. And my other movie, really quick, is Miracle on 34th Street. Yes, there is a Christmas theme here, folks. I adore Christmas with an almighty passion. I did see the list from the 1940s. There's some other ones on there that I I like, but these two are every single year I watch them. And Miracle on 34th Street, again, black and white version,
Yes, yes.
1947. Love it.
And
Absolutely love it.
we discussed that once and how the
Yes.
difference between the one they made in the 40s and then the remake
Yes.
was so different.
Terrible. No need. I haven't ever seen the remake. I just saw, the clips and stuff, and I didn't like the little girl in it, the whole shebang. I just didn't like any
Mm-hmm.
of it. And I was like, nope.
I just remember in the remake that the house that she just had to have
Right.
was this huge
Yeah.
McMansion
Right.
thing. And in the 40s, it was a nice house. It was like a colonial type,
Hmm.
two-story and stuff, but no, nowhere near this
No.
thing. Yeah, yeah.
No.
That's the consumerism and stuff that we've grown into. Yeah,
That's right. I
yeah.
believe. I believe. It's silly, but I believe. Susan Walker. Natalie Wood. Fun.
Oh, is that who played that character?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
Oh,
Mm-hmm.
she was a cute little girl.
Yes. So those are my two. What you got, Auntie Joan?
Oh, here, let me see. Because I had to put him in a document so I wouldn't forget.
Oh.
Okay, we're going to see a theme here
Mm-hmm.
with me.
Okay.
It's but it sure ain't the Christmas holly jolly stuff. Okay, the first one is Gaslight
Oh, I don't think I know
with
that one.
with Ingrid Bergman, Charles Boyer, and Joseph Cotton. And this is where the term gaslighting comes from.
Oh.
Ingrid Bergman inherits this townhouse and stuff, and Charles Boyer manages to convince her to marry him, and well, it's all this long drawn out stuff in intrigue and murder and all that stuff.
Ooh.
And oh yes. And Charles Boyer starts trying to get Ingrid Bergman to think that she's going crazy. So he does things like he has the gas lights turned down. And
Oh.
then they'll go to like these plays and he'll give her a watch and say, now you hold on to this because don't want to lose it. And then he'll take it and he'll say, see, I'm putting it in your purse, but he won't put it in there. He'll put it in his hand and close the purse. So it's not in the purse. And
Mhm.
then he'll call for you. He'll say, well, what time is it? Would you look at the watch? And it's not there. So he says all this crazy stuff trying to get her to think she's going crazy. That's where that term comes from, actually. And it was based on a 1938 play.
Mhm.
But the movie was made in 1944. Very, very good. And I
Nice.
love the old black and whites too.
Mhm.
And Ingrid Bergman was beautiful, beautiful. And then there's Rebecca, an Alfred Hitchcock movie, which was, I think that one was in 1944 also. And it's Joan Fontaine. And she's a young woman who marries this guy whose wife had died, and there's this creepy housekeeper that like follows her around and shows up, and Rebecca's thinking that maybe he's killed his first wife, and maybe he's trying to kill her, and all this stuff. Oh, it's good. It's good. It's good.
Nice.
And then on the sad, now I'm not going to see. I couldn't stick with two. Be-
That's okay.
because I was closer to the 40s. And I used to watch I say that I'm a night owl, and I guess I used to watch some of these when after everybody else went to bed and I'd be up watching these things.
Mhm.
Um The Fighting Sullivans. And that one was made in 1944, and that is about a family of 5 brothers. They grew up in the Depression, and then kind of follows them a little bit into their life as,
Mhm.
a good Irish Catholic family. And then the World War II started. There was the bombing of
Mhm.
in Hawaii. And so that got they all ended up signing up for the Navy. They insisted and pushed that they should all be on the same ship.
Oh.
Yeah. The ship gets hit and the
Uh-oh.
boys all die.
Oh.
And when I looked this up, they said that 3 of the boys died during, when it was attacked. 2 of them made it to lifeboats. And one of them died like the next day in the boat. And then a couple days later, the other one died because it's a result of hypernatremia, too much salt water.
Mm-hmm.
So obviously, he, I guess, had been drinking seawater to try to stay hydrated. That ended up taking him too. And then I guess he kind of had delirium and slid out of the boat.
Oh.
Yeah. And then two other ones that I won't go into, but they follow my theme for the best movies is Rope, 1948, with James Stewart.
Oh, I love me some Jimmy Stewart.
And then Sorry, Wrong Number with Barbara Stanwyck and Burt Lancaster.
Oh.
So yeah, yeah. Good murder shows. Keeping in line with the Christmas spirit. Welcome back.
Welcome back. Now we're on to the part of our program where we discuss commercials we just have to talk about. And Auntie Joan's got a doozy for us today.
Oh my gosh. Oh my gosh. I hate these commercials. Have you seen any of them?
Never.
The Blue Chew commercials. You did see the link though.
I did.
Yeah. And they've got a whole bunch of them that are pretty much just like that. Blue Chew is something that I guess men would be interested in. I believe it's for ED, erectile dysfunction.
Mm-hmm.
And like any other ED pill commercial, they have these young, sensuous type looking women to try to sell it. It's and their whole thing is, oh, it's made my life so much better, and oh, I love him so much more, and oh boy, he's just the greatest. And I thought to myself, you know, guys that are dating women like that, they probably really don't need that. Maybe what they need is to show is more realistic women.
But I think maybe what they're trying to say is erectile dysfunction is not necessarily an arousal issue. You know, just because you're with a
that's
hot,
interesting.
I don't know. Just because you're with a hot woman doesn't necessarily mean that you should automatically, regardless of your condition, be able to stand at attention. I don't know, because honestly, the only erectile dysfunctional commercials I've seen has actually been older people.
Oh,
like Cialis and stuff like
oh
that.
yeah, that's
all the
right. Yeah.
all the older people getting it on.
That's true.
So that's why I wasn't 100% sure, because they never say what it is in this commercial, the link that you sent. And I did not want to look it up because I did not know it was going to happen to my computer if I did.
Yes. So
yes. I decided not to. So I was like, well, Auntie Jo's going to have to tell me what this one's about. But because they were so young, I'm like, I don't know if that's it. I mean, I knew it was male something, because they did say that in here, but I didn't know if it was sperm count related or who the hell knows. I didn't 100% know, but it is an ED drug. Yeah, it makes sense.
And I think too that maybe one of the other things they're looking for is maybe they're thinking some guys might think, hey, maybe if I take this, I can get women like that too. So
yeah,
I don't know. It's 6 of one, half a dozen of the other.
What really bugged me about two things really bugged me about this commercial. One was the chick who was leading the interview.
Yeah.
And, with her high beams on. And then
I didn't even notice that.
Oh my God. It was like the first thing I was like, Jesus, hon, like nobody stopped you from this. And then two was the one woman who said, oh, I know what that is. Yeah, my guy, basically saying like her guy uses it. And then they talked to the guy in the commercial and said, asked him questions. They went back to that same woman and said, well, if this guy standing next to me took this Blue Chew, would you go out on a date with him or something like that? She's like, oh, something like I absolutely would, or something. I'm like, didn't you just say you had a man? Didn't you just say you had a man? Now you're just going to hook up with this dude because he's going to take this Blue Chew crap? And I was like, I don't know. So That bugged
No,
me.
that's funny. You saw the high beams. When I think of her, I think of the whole. It's what we, I don't know what we're focused on, but I think of the whole woman wearing that plingy, I mean, like sock of a dress,
Yes.
hugging every single curve. And ah,
Uh-huh.
I'm really glad I'm not in my 20s or even 30s anymore. I would hate to have to live in that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So you're saying there's a slew of these out there that you've seen?
Yeah, there's a bunch of them.
Mm.
And I don't know. I don't know if they put them on because of the time of night that
I
I'm
was gonna
watching
say
things.
it's the time you're watching stuff because
Yeah,
I've
yeah,
never seen these commercials. I didn't know what, like I said, I didn't know what this was. And I was like,
yeah. It used
oh,
to be a lot of the commercials you'd see at that time of night were,
the 900 numbers and all that crap.
oh yeah, those, but debts, how to get out of debt and stuff like that.
Bail bondsman.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah. That's a
I'm
good
glad
one,
I
Auntie
don't
Jo.
have to worry about any of those anymore.
Right?
Yeah.
This was a good one.
Yeah.
Yikes.
Yeah.
All right, Auntie Joan. Anything else you have for our listener today?
Oh, no. No, I think I've said it all.
All right. Well, then that wraps it for yet another wonderful pickled watermelon rinds episode. This is Auntie signing off.
And Auntie Joan saying bye-bye now.
We thank you for listening. And remember, when life eats away at your core, make pickled watermelon rinds.